Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix and this is Olympia Rising. $4.99 comes out of the Steam store today, but before I begin this Let's Try, I want to make sure that you guys know that this was a key obtained from the developer. I reached out to them via social media, they responded and gave me a review code. That won't affect the coverage of this game in question, but I want to make sure you guys know. Now, Olympia Rising is a strange case where I can best describe it by one quote: "The devil is in the details." There's a good game here, and this is a game that's worth the price of admission, $5. However, what's curious about it is the fact that I felt like it could be taken to a whole nother level. I felt like there was missing potential here, and it's all little things. The core gameplay is great, and what they did with the gameplay in terms of level design and some of the abilities is good. But it's small things like, you'll notice on this screen, the hold down to view controls kind of thing. It's sort of this missing options, very strange choices in terms of how to implement things is where the game fails. For example, there's no way to get out of this game that I can see without alt-tabbing and right-clicking and closing, from at least what I've seen so far. But let's get into some gameplay. Let's show you guys a little bit of gameplay before I go on any further. Alright, we're gonna get into some gameplay here. This is an action platformer, and the idea here is that Charon there, the rich gets richer skeleton comment, is trying to transport you back to the world of the living. You have died. This is basically sort of based off of Greek and Roman culture, the idea of the underworld and Hades, but he will do it for a toll or a price. Those coins that you're finding right now are those price. And so in each level, with the exception of the boss levels, you have to get through the level, get enough coins to pay the toll, and go on to the next level. Now, any extra coins you earn will carry over to the next level, in most cases. If you die, however, those extra coins are lost. So keep that in mind, because that's going to make a huge difference. In this edited footage, you won't notice that, but I wanted to make sure you know that because, well, it's sort of important, because getting a run going can make other levels easier in terms of speed, in terms of having to go through some of the bigger traps in question. Now, in terms of the action gameplay, it's good. In terms of the way that you can go about things, you'll notice a couple of things within it. First of all, the slashing and the attacking is very simple, very quick, very responsive. Now, the thing is, you have an ability there that you noticed. Olympia, which I think is her name at this point, I'm going to assume that because Olympia Rising, but she has the ability to fly with using magic power, which is that bottom left-hand corner, that blue bar. You can find those magic pots all over the place, and the thing is that you can launch yourself based off that. Now, the magic also is used in terms of the attacking with spells. I don't have one yet, so you won't see it for a little bit here. Now, what's interesting about this level design is that it sort of takes out the normal platforming mechanics that I would expect in a game like this. What I mean by that is, like, when you drop down into a new area, in a regular platformer, I would say it would be unfair to have an enemy there. But this is a little bit different because of the flying mechanic. That's something where the flying mechanic, you can't get around that for the speed that you're going for. And I think the speed is important to the gameplay. And so if you sort of throw yourself up into the wind without any thought or, any sort of, non-precision, you're gonna get hit, and you're gonna get hit hard. That's interesting because that goes against what I would expect out of a platformer, but it works here. And I do have to admit, it works very well. You notice there I did the fire spell. I want to go into what I meant about the devil's in the details comment. The game controls with either the keyboard or the Xbox controller, and the game feels very NES-like. And when I mean NES-like, I mean it almost feels like they were too influenced by the NES aesthetic. What do I mean by that? Well, the way that you throw that spell down is that you hit down and X. What's weird about that is that there are no other buttons besides jump that are used on the controller, and that's a little bit weird because it's a 2-button system, very much similar to what you would see in the old NES days. That's how you activated it. But when I talk about evolution of games, while you can still keep that nostalgic feeling, keeping those limitations that kept those games back may be a little bit strange. I would have liked to see some key bindings options there. That would have made a lot of sense for me, because it allows the newer player and maybe a player that's not used to the old game to get into it, while allowing the old players that do still want that option still able to do it. Let's talk a little bit about the aesthetic. The aesthetic it actually feels unique. I know this is another pixel art style. It's another 2D platformer, but what's interesting about it is that I felt like it does have its own style to it. The way that the enemies are designed, even like for that ram, the little touch of the sort of rose on his head, or at least I think that's a rose, adds to the game. And I really think it does sort of keep it a little bit different from other games in the genre. It's the little touches, like with this animation of her sort of bouncing back and forth, that I feel why this aesthetic works. Now, there's inconsistencies in the game. You'll notice that in that last portion, it told me I needed 120 coins in order to get through. Notice how I need 90. I'm assuming that that's because it's text-based and they just got that inconsistency, or maybe they balanced it before the game, or during game testing and things like that. But it was something that I noticed, because I don't see how you would have been able to get 120 coins in this level in particular. In fact, in this run, I don't get the 90 coins. I actually go through the door and don't have the number of coins in question. Now, there are cool little details in terms of the combat and the coin collecting. If you're in the air and you kill multiple enemies at once, you will get a multiplier, like you saw there, 1 and 2 times. That will get you more coins at that question. That can sort of really help you in certain situations. Like, that can get you, if you get up to like 5x, that may get you through the level at that point, as opposed to having trouble like I am here, where I'm just near the exit and I don't have enough coins, and I'll actually run into a problem where I have to go back down. Music-wise, it's reasonable. I do like the music per level, and it has a repetitive nature to it, very similar to the NES days, but it feels like it is appropriate to the genre in question. It doesn't feel like it's out of place. Now, you'll notice here that I go through the door, and guess what? I don't have enough coins to pass. I don't actually go into the acid. That's another run that I thought of. The acid does rise in some levels reasonably, and it's reasonably so fast that you actually have to react to it very quickly. I do like that the game sort of dodges between a fast-paced game and a slow-paced game, where if you were slow and methodical in the more open levels, but in this kind of level, you got to be more fast. You still need to be methodical. You still need to understand that, just rushing in is going to get you killed, but on the flip side, it feels like you're being pushed at that point. Now, you do have different types of magic attacks. I have the aqua attack right now, which basically makes a shield for me, but it's only useful in certain situations. The sword is responsive enough with the sort of quick attacks that it is reasonable. I do like the lightning attack in particular because it just does more damage. I do have to say, though, the down A X combination is sort of still strange. You saw there, a lot of coins out of that combo because I got a 4X. That pretty much saved me this life at this point. What else can I talk about? Well, I wish the game had key bindings, like always. I also wish the game could be easily exitable. If you try to pause the game, which if you pause the game during gameplay, it doesn't actually pause it. The game continues on in the background, and in particular in a level like this, that's a major problem because, well, guess what? The acid's rising and you die. You also can't go back to out of the game in terms of, you can return to the title screen, but once you get back to the title screen, there's no way of getting out of it. Now, you do have boss fights like this one, this fox in question, the Tizami fox. They follow a strict pattern in terms of fighting, but it does feel a reasonable challenge, mostly because of how close you have to get to the enemy. These enemies are larger, and in order to get close to, you have to get close to them in order to hit them, but you have to be very precise in how much effort you spend trying to get close to the enemy, because if you get too close, you're going to take reasonable damage at that point. Now, I'm doing reasonable here. Now, you'll notice that the pattern is pretty much the same, and it's going to be the same throughout the fight. These aren't hard boss fights once you understand the pattern of the fight. But until you understand the pattern of the fight, you will run into problems. Now, overall, I liked Olympia Rising, and I really do think, especially for a $5 game, there is a lot of under the surface here in terms of enjoyment. People who like sort of rushing through a game and like speedrunning a game, I could see this definitely working for you. And what you have to understand is that you have to give up some of the normalcy of, like, you know, bindable keys. This doesn't run at 60 frames per second. It's about 40, 45, but the game's enjoyable nonetheless. There are inconsistencies, and they will show up after a while, but overall, it was a fun time, and I appreciated every minute that I was playing it. Even though I never got to the point where I was horribly frustrated, I did get frustrated. Alright, this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will leave my review in the comments section below. And again, like, comment, share, and subscribe this video. Do what you want with it. It will help me out if you share it with other people. I am trying to make a career of this. And I will see you all later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this content and want to see more of it, you may want to hit that subscribe button on the left-hand side. If you like this video and want to see more of this content, take a look at this video on the left-hand side as well. And if you've missed my last video, take a look at the right-hand side. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.